Another deck profile, and this time Chris has abandoned me, so it's just me today.
Like hell I did.
Alright, I lied, he's just sitting around. Today I actually wanted to talk about a deck that I think is a small sleeper deck for locals and maybe regional levels, but this deck still sucks. Like, it's actually garbage. But let's talk about some positives. Today it is Dark Magician. It is a deck that a lot of people spent a lot of money on when Circles was first announced, and then died off, and then we got Magician Souls later on, and wow! I can't believe this card is not a Spiral by name, because that's all it ever did. Thanks, Dark Magician, for your lousy support once again. But what can Dark Magician do? I thought about it for a while, and the deck itself does nothing without having access to Dragoons. So when I put it together, I was trying to think, how far into the Dragoons engine can I go, while also not going too far? And that's when I started messing around with this list. And this is the one I have had the most success with out of all of them. I would show replays, but I personally do not like Project Ignis at all. I think the player base is garbage and boring. But anyway, with the profile, there are 3 Dark Magician because you have to. It's mandatory. And I play 2 Magician of Dark Illusion. There's not too much to talk about with him. He summons himself if you activate a trap, and he's Dark Magician on board. So it will trigger Circle if you summon him with his own effect. If a spell or trap effect is activated while he's already face up, you can summon a Dark Magician from your graveyard as well, so it gets more bodies on board, and it also lets you trigger Circle also more on your turn. Apprentice Illusion Magician, she's a discard special summon, and she searches Dark Magician, and then she's also a plus 2000 attack to a Dark Spellcaster, which is good, it's handy. It's not the most important thing though, but it is an option. She's mainly honestly a free body that searches Dark Magician. Magician's Rod is the best normal summon this deck has ever had in its life. It searches any spell trap that lists Dark Magician as text, and when you also activate a card effect during your opponent's turn, well, spell trap, you can tribute a spell cast on back to hand for next turn, but the main thing is he grabs Magician's Circle, which is arguably the best spell card of the deck, and I'll get to that eventually. Next is Magician's Souls. It puts Dark Magician in the graveyard, and he summons himself as a free body. I'm actually trying to focus more on, hey, how quick can I make Dragoons? So I put in a Predaplant Anaconda. So now I have 9 ways of making the Predaplant link with Apprentice Illusion, Rod, and Magician Souls. You can also discard things like Navigation, because personally I don't like Nav as much turn 1, because it gets ashed and you don't have a lot of ways to get access to it anymore, when you can just go Red Eyes Fusion, for instance, and send Dark Magician, and then consistently bring it back with Eternal Soul. So I actually prefer to discard Navigation off of Magician Souls or Dragoons, because in the graveyard, Navigation is a banished negation for a spell or trap. So now it's another negate type of thing against your opponent. Red Eyes Black Dragon is for Dragoons, and Red Eyes Wyvern is for Insight. You could... I don't know how many of you guys know about the Red Eyes package, but you could banish them from the graveyard, target a Red Eyes in graveyard, and summon that target if you didn't normal summon set that turn, so you can have access to Dragoons if they out it again. Dark Black Magic Attack, it's just, you search it off Eternal Soul. Honestly, I'm still iffy about it. To me, it's a free card to search. If I already have like Dark Magician in hand or graveyard, I can search this off of Eternal Soul, before I have access to a discard for Dragoons. I'm doing 2 Red Eyes Fusion because Insight searches it, but also hard drawing it is not bad at all. It's Red Eyes Fusion. I really don't know how much more I could talk about this card. Like, it makes the best boss monster, the most Yu-Gi-Oh monster Yu-Gi-Oh has ever seen. Pot of Extravagance. This is a card I've noticed I have not seen a lot of Dark Magician lists top play, and I can understand why. My only problem with running it is I want to run something like Link Spider, because then I can go, like going second, I can summon Rod, do stuff with Rod, Souls, well, Circle, and then Souls, discard it, send Dark Magician, discard it, bring back Dark Magician, Souls banish, and then make a Link Spider for I could then make Predaplant. But I personally think Extravagance is better, not just because it draws a card, but because with Soul Servant stacks, it places one card from your deck on top of it, but it has to list Dark Magician or Dark Magician Girl on its text. But that searches anything. It searches Broad, it searches Soul, it searches Circle, it searches Navigation, Soul. So when you start your main phase, you go Extravagance, and you change Soul Servant after, and then it's just, congratulations, you searched any card into the deck. Sure, yes, you could have done that with Soul Servant alone, because you could banish it and draw a card for each, like, Dark Magician, or Girl, or Pallium monsters with different names. But I'm only playing Dark Magician because I tested a variant with Girl and it was really, really bad. But now you have a draw for later on, and now you don't need to get a Dark Magician in Graveyard, so now you don't have to open Souls with Extravagance, but you have a draw for next turn type of thing. It's just more resources, in my opinion. Red Eye's Insight has 2 search targets in this deck. Red Eye's Fusion and Return of the Red Eyes. I will get to talk about Return in actually just a little bit. Secrets of Dark Magic is a card I hated at first, actually. But then I remembered, hey, Return of the Red Eyes is actually a card. And I read it again, and I was thinking, alright, I know what I can do. I'll get back to that. Illusion Magic, tribute a spellcaster, add copies of Dark Magician. It just recycled. It just gets you to more Dark Magician. It's another way to Dark Magician. That was it. Circle is probably one of the most important spells in the deck. On activation, looks at top 3, adds a card that lists Dark Magician, or it either adds Dark Magician or spell trap that lists Dark Magician, but it also stacks the deck, which is nice for Soul Servant or drawing for turn, stuff like that. But also when you summon Dark Magician, it banishes a card your opponent controls, which is interaction with the opponent. You can't say no. Navigation is, once again, I'm actually really iffy about it. Because it does summon 2 monsters. It summons a Dark Magician from hand and a level 7 or lower Dark Spellcaster from deck, which is really nice because you can then summon like Apprentice and get a search off of her for a Dark Magician. You can summon a Rod, or later on, like you can go Rod and then Illusion. And there's things you can do with that. It can summon Souls if you really want the draw effect, but I didn't like it as much in this variant just because the fact that it can get ashed. And yeah, like you would want to ash like the Predaplant stuff, but like people can top deck the ash, and like that it becomes a problem. And you also have to have a Dark Magician in hand to activate it. So I didn't like it for that fact. And especially in this variant, in my opinion, it's a lot easier to get a Dark Magician in the graveyard than in the hand. Destiny Rivals. I played this at 3 at first, because like, why wouldn't you? It negates the effect of all face-up monsters your opponent controls. Like, it's a skill drain if you control Dark Magician, but it does nothing on its own, and you have to control Dark Magician. There's just a few moments where I opened it, like in like 2 of them, it's like, I really, really wish I did not have this in my hand. So I left it as a 1 of, because it's now I can search it off a Rod, I could grab it off a Circle, I could stack it off a Soul Servant. It's like, it's easily accessible, but I don't have to play 3 of it. 2 Eternal Soul, I would say yes, we need to play 3, but it's still a hard once per turn. It still has the downside of kabluing everything, but Return of the Red Eyes acts as a 3rd copy of Magician's Soul, well, Eternal Soul. If you control a Red Eyes monster, you can target 1 normal monster in your graveyard, special summon it. If this card in your possession is destroyed by opponent's card effect sent to graveyard, target 1 Red Eyes monster in your graveyard and special summon it. See, what I was originally thinking was, alright, whatever, this is all bad, but you can go Circle, grab like Soul Servant, or the Fusion spell, or Illusion Magic, and or like navigation, I guess. But you can then later on insight for return, and if you control Dragoons, which is a red-eyed monster by name, this is another copy of Eternal Soul, because it summons any vanilla from your graveyard. And the reason why I'm not playing another copy of Souls is because this can bring back Red Eye's Black Dragon, which is a dragon monster that I can now use Secrets of Dark Magic for to make Dark Magician the Dragon Knight. That was my theory behind all of this. And I think it's pretty good. Like, there's a few times where, yeah, it has failed me, but most of the time, if you stick a Dragoons, which isn't hard, this card's life. And, hey, it brings back a dragon, it brings back Dark Magician. 3 pluses, man. Now with the extra deck, Dragons. It's the most Yu-Gi-Oh card I've ever read in my life, and it's Dragons. It's honestly one of the things that make this deck playable at all. You just slap this bad boy on board and just go break my board. But then I liked it because Red Eye's Fusion sends a Dark Magician to graveyard, so that's now that's an easy Dark Magician for Magician, not Magician Souls, well, Magician Souls too, but Eternal Soul to bring back on the opponent's turn. And like I said, it doesn't matter if you just drop Red Eye's Fusion right away, because honestly, the normal stuff doesn't matter too much. Like, sure, like these are nice. Rod's an amazing normal summon, but if I open Extravagant Soul Servant with Red Eye's Fusion in hand, and my opponent, like, if I feel like my opponent doesn't have like a hand trap, I will just add Circle, and then Circle it has to give me 2 soul, or if I already open Circle, I'll stack the soul. And Red Eye's Fusion, go burr. Next card is Dark Magician, the Dragon Knight. He really doesn't do anything, except your spell traps cannot be targeted or destroyed by card effects, which is really, really, really good, because one of the weaknesses this deck has is Eternal Soul blowing up, because when a soul dies, your entire board dies. So he prevents that from happening. But also, like, Power Piece, Feather Duster, it's the one that just destroys everything. And like, I don't even know if it's lightning by name. I'm not gonna lie. Lightning Storm. Okay, I was right. I think it's Lightning Vortex. But it protects against Lightning Storm, Cosmic Cyclone, Harpies, Feather Duster, MST, because MST does kill this deck. But with Return of the Red Eyes, he takes a Dark Magician and a Dragon monster. Return brings back a Dragon monster to make this with. And this is searchable by Rod and Soul Serpent, and Circle can grab it. So the next card is the Dark Magicians. This is a fusion monster. I'm back and forth on it. I'm not gonna lie. It's, for the ones who don't know, if once per turn, if a spell trap card is activated, except on damage step, you can draw a card. If it was a spell trap, you can set it. And if it's a trap or quick play, you can activate it at turn. And if it's destroyed, you can special summon Dark Magician and Dark Magician Girl from hand, deck, or graveyard, or one from either or. It doesn't really matter. But I liked him in the sense of knowing what my top cards are with like Circle and stuff. Because with Circle, you can go, like, look at the top 3, you can go Circle, add, like, say, Soul or something. But then your next top card is, like, Navigation, and then, like, Red Eye's Fusion or something. And it's like, you already have a Dragoons on board. It's just like, oh, maybe I don't want to draw that Red Eye's Fusion. But now you can make the Dark Magicians, which is only a Dark Magician or Girl, but I don't play Girl, so Dark Magician, and a Spellcaster monster, which most of these are. And that means now you can just make this, stick it on board, and then on your opponent's turn, if you activate a spell or trap or monster or whatever, you draw a card, which in this example is Navigation, and you can activate Navigation and it'll change your top deck. But it's a consistent draw one. That's why I played it. I do think it's one of the better fusion monsters of the deck, but I don't think this card's better than Dragon Knight or Dragon, especially not better than Dragons at all. Like, it's still a pretty good card though. And if your list definitely follows more Dark Magician Girl, then yeah, this would probably be a lot more impactful. There's a few things I would like to actually talk about a bit after I share my profile. Red Eyes Flare Metal. Simple. When I was building this list, I was thinking about Extravagance the entire time because it's just a +1. And I thought, what can my last 3 cards be? And I was looking at it all, and so it's like, all right, so if I don't have Return, what can I do? Navigation, Summon Dark Magician from hand, and Summoning Illusion Magician is a instant rank 7. And so you can go, oh, okay, sure. Summon this, detach, bring back Red Eyes Black Dragon. And that's a dragon. That's 2 dragons, or technically. You'll just keep him on board, and then you'll use secrets, fuse Dark Magician and the dragon to make Dragon Knight. And now he's just like, this is like a steady burn damage after that. And you don't have to run this. This can be definitely anything else. This can be Link Spider if you want it, but I personally like the idea, and it has come up a few times. And last is the Boy Planet Anaconda. It sends fusion, Red Eyes fusion, and it lets you make dragons. You can go summon Rod, search Circle, Soul, Nav, whatever you need. Soul, send something, or Apprentice, discard, summon, and then just make Red Plant. Send dragons. Don't send dragons, but make dragons. And that's really it for the list, but there's a few things I really wanted to actually talk about. And that being Dark Magician Girl. I guess her fusions would fall into this. Iota Mias. Bonds between teachers and students. Dark Burning Magic. And Magician's Combination. These are the ones I really want to talk about. So when I first started building this deck, I was actually playing not Tamias. I'll get to Tamias last. I was playing a Dark Magician Girl variant because I liked the idea of like souls, send Dark Magician, discard souls, summon Dark Magician, and then bonds between teacher and student, summoning Dark Magician Girl from anywhere, and then setting this. And that's an instant, like, blow up the entire board, and then you just, Secrets of Dark Magic make the Dark Magicians, and then you get more more pluses. And personally, I think if you do that, I think it's weaker than trying to make dragons as soon as you can, but I think if you do that, it's still not a bad way. When I was testing it, these cards were bricking me a lot. I regretted seeing them, and this goes with it. This card's really strong, but once again, you need to have Girl and Dark Magician on board. It's not too hard to get Dark Magician on board because of souls, nav, return, souls. We have 5 souls that summon this card. Nice. And that was those 2. And then Combination was a card I actually didn't hate at first. Mainly for the fact, if this face-up card is sent from the spell trap zone to the graveyard, you can destroy 1 card on the field. I liked it at first because it was a negation-like effect. Once per turn, when a card effect is activated, tribute 1 Dark Magician or Dark Magician Girl, special summon the other one from your graveyard with a different name than the tributed monster. So I was playing it at 1 because, once again, teachers and students, what the idea was at the time was I would go like souls, summon Dark Magician, teacher, student, summon Girl, set Burning Magic, turn this into Link Spider, then make Anaconda and send it, and then I would like Red Eyes Return or Soul, bring back Dark Magician, and then that would make this live as soon as possible. So that's 2 negations you have every single turn. But just something in execution didn't make it work. I don't know what it was, but like it, all of these just didn't feel right, in my opinion. I'm not saying don't, honestly, if you really don't want to play Extravagance, and I know this can be somewhat of an expensive list because 3 Dragoons, 3 Extravagance, Red Eyes Fusion. I think these are still somewhat expensive. I don't really know. 3 souls. Yeah, cut down, like cut the extravagances, cut like a lot of this unnecessary extra stuff, and then you can put these 4 in. Of course, you'd play 3 of this. But it just wasn't something I felt like was impactful enough to the duel. If I was to do this engine again, I probably wouldn't play Burning Magic, just because I would want to mainly focus on combination as a negate, so I'd be looping back and forth with them. But that's, if you're playing the girl variant, that's when I do think the Dark Magician's fusion is a lot more impactful. And the last card I want to talk about was Iota Mias. It makes the Creation Knight like the easiest, but it's not searchable by Rod or anything. And I don't like the idea of playing a card that I don't have super easy access to as a 1-of. Or at 3, you're more likely to draw it, but it could also end up bricking more. And at 1, you're never going to see it. And I would rather have more consistent ways to fusion summon, and that's what led to Secrets of Dark Magic being the way to go. I'd probably bump up more of it though. But anyways, that is it for the deck profile. This is the first one I've done in about a year or something at this point. I think since April of last year. I do expect a Galaxy Eyes deck profile. And that will be all. Goodbye.